Welcome to your favorite comic book YouTube channel, Cartoonist Kayfabe. My name is Ed Piscor.
I'm Jim Rugg.
Jimmy, what week is it?
June 22.
Just got back from Heroes Con, man.
Heck of a weekend,
You catch
as
up on
always.
you catch up on your sleep a little bit?
I'm still a little behind on the sleep, but heck of a weekend. Old friends, new friends, boxes of books. I love that show.
Totally, man. We have transcended being like Artist Alley type dudes to like official vendors of the Eddie P. Jim Rugg Cartoonist Kayfabe store.
It's true.
Something happened.
And, we learned it on the loadout,
Yeah.
I think.
Something happened. Yeah. It's like us, we rented a respectably sizable vehicle, no doubt. But it is us in between, like, flatbed trucks.
Yes.
And
trailers.
Yeah, U-Hauls and stuff. Like, we're so close to that. And then you think about it, you break shit down, right? It's like 12 issues of Hip Hop Family Tree, 2 box sets, 4 big volumes, 9 issues of Red Room 2 trade paperbacks, and artist edition toys, Mondo prints that are, the size of a little person wrestler. It adds up.
I want to do a Mondo print now of an old wrestler.
A life size one, like
yeah.
Little Beaver.
That's
like
right.
like we could call it the WrestleMania 3 series, man, and just have Sky Lolo and Little Honda and like all those dudes in there, man.
That'd be quite the novelty.
Can I tell my most embarrassing Heroes Con story
sure.
that you were there for? So when we get in for like load-in, we're going down the escalator, and you're talking with some dude, and I look back and I'm like, oh, word, man, sweet. And I'm like, man, Mark, like we were talking about your Prince Valiant comics on the way down. Tom Yates is doing some freaking excellent work, and you're staring at me with what my daddy would call a shit-eating grin. And he's looking at me perplexed. And as I'm saying sentences, I know it's not who I think it is. And he goes, "Why should I care about that? What's that have to do with me?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're Michael Dooney. You're not Mark Schultz." And he forgave me, and we had a good chat and all that kind of a thing, man. In fact, he was such a mensch that he was my lunch date for the rest of the weekend, and we were chatting shit up. Really dug the Ninja Turtles foot stuff that we've done, which there's more conversation in that direction. So this one day we're getting some lunch, and the Heroes Con people, shouts to them for bringing us down, and they really take good care of you. Like they set up a little green room where you can take a little powder, which is essential, especially for how big the Eddie P. Jim Rugg store has grown, because not 1 second of downtime. But I digress. I'm sitting there with Mark, sitting there with Mike. We're sitting there talking, man, having a good old time. This girl comes in, hey, Mark, and it's like waving, and we're like looking, and then we just continue. And Mark, no, she goes, and I get a big smile, and I'm like, Mark Schultz? She's like, yeah. I'm like, yes. So I embarrassed her extra. I embarrassed him extra. Like, it was just total, like, the intrusive thoughts come out kind of thing. Like, I'm like, yes, I did that yesterday.
I've had those moments.
But I was so validated,
yes.
Dad. And I decided what it is they have the same kind of head shape from a straight-on view. That's what it is, man. Mark Schultz is much taller. But that's the deal. Like, it's just, like, a similar kind of head shape and a similar expressive demeanor. Yeah. But it's cartoonist. But if that's your most embarrassing moment at a convention,
that's not too bad.
Like, you can't be trying to complain it too much.
Yeah, it does make me wonder. I was on the other end. Someone confused me for a different Jim, and I don't want to call out names because it was a pro,
right?
And we made nice, but yeah, these things happen. Somebody came up and we were talking, and they were saying how like the awkward moments at these shows, we all have them. Not a big deal. Like most of us sit with our back to the world 360 days a year. So I can forgive a little bit of this.
I realized...
I've certainly been on both sides of that.
I realized like my reaction was improper because how like very many ladies will have like a maternal kind of nurturing thing. Well, some lady who was sitting next to me was very nurturing to that girl. So I think that's something socially happened to her that made her feel real bad. Potentially me exclaiming, but it had nothing to do with her. Had everything to do with me doing that same exact thing yesterday. And then I asked Mike, I'm like, does this happen regularly? He's like, it's never happened before once. And it happens 2 days in a row. So, of course, when I was done with lunch, I had to run downstairs and tell you the whole story.
Might be time for him to consider growing a mustache or something.
Yeah,
a goatee, Van Dyke, something.
Yeah. Yeah, leather jacket, perhaps.
That's right.
Because that's the same thing, man. It's the same kind of attire and things. It was super cool talking to him, man, and debriefing on the Eastman and Laird stuff. He has access to Eastman. I mean, to Laird. Laird sent photos like at his crib where they're all going through original art pages and things, man. And he's like, yeah, Pete's just hanging out. Like he loves talking this stuff, and it's coming out of his shell, and no pun intended, a little bit. Let's keep that shit rocking, man. Now that we're back home for a little bit, for a spell, we'll start to set some of that kind of stuff up, some more shoot interviews and things like that.
A lot of people at Heroes that I'd like to talk to.
Totally. They even had a little wing of daily strip guys, and I pulled these books off of Joe Staten's table. I was talking to you about it going down. Like, I want to interview more strip artists on the channel. I would just do that on my own because, like, who knows what kind of legs that would get. Like, you and I have to use our time super wisely when we're together, and then we can do whatever the fuck we want on our own. But I was telling you, like, dude, I was looking at the Dick Tracy strips of late, and he teams up with, like, Little Orphan Annie.
That's so bizarre.
And Fearless Fosdick. But it goes even beyond that, because in, like, 2016, 2017, in the strip, Joe Staten was drawing strips with intersecting with the spirit. Right there, man. So there were these free comics that were that he was giving out at his table that kind of collected those strips, and he's gotten they got Harvey Awards for the best syndicated stripper panel. And when you look at this stuff, it's very rigorous. Like, he's not,
man, that's beautiful. I wish I would have seen those.
Yeah, he's not just dashing stuff out. Like, fuck, man, nobody reads newspaper comics anymore. Like, he's putting in all his effort. So that was a fun grab. A lot of great grabs down there.
That's one of those evidences for me of golden age of comics, because, like, comics are so full of good stuff.
Yeah.
That we don't even hear about this for years.
Right.
Like, you would think a Spirit Dick Tracy official crossover would be news in comics, and it's like, we'll catch up to it 7 years later.
There is a corny part to the Fearless Fosdick thing, because at the first panel of every strip has a caption up front that says, "Tracy is dreaming." So it's like, like the universes really haven't touched kind of shit. Kind of corny. But in the Spirit thing, like, Daddy Warbucks is a character who might be part of, like, a bigger plot and things. So now we're getting into Harold Gray characters. And I guess maybe that's where, it's not in that one, but I guess that's where, like, Little Orphan Annie pops into the game.
Hot-shotting the comic strips.
Jimmy, what do you got there, man?
Well, my debut at Heroes was True Crime Funnies, and I've been getting messages, DMs, emails, all kinds of stuff about how can you get this if you weren't at Heroes. So I am putting together a sale on my website that will open on Saturday, June 24th, and I'm going to be offering True Crime Funnies, of course, but a lot of other stuff that I just haven't sold online, like Octobriana. Basically, I pulled a lot of books for Heroes, and a lot of them are, they're odds and ends. There's things like zines, like this wrestling zine, that I have not sold online. In some cases, I just have a couple of copies, but I'm going to be putting these up on Saturday. So check that out at jimrugg.com. If you're missing anything from my collection, I will have screen prints available on there. I will have zines. Basically, what I brought back from Heroes is going on the website starting Saturday, and we'll see how long it lasts. This is not going to be forever, but if you guys are looking for something from the Jim Rugg collection, that's the place to look. Stuff will come signed. We'll get it mailed out next week. Rambo 3.5 I'll have available on there. Somebody had asked me about it for Heroes. I did a run. Sold out Friday morning. So that's been out of print for a while. I'm doing another run to just supplement this sale, because I don't sell stuff online all the time. You know how it is, shipping. But it's middle summer, so I figure I'll do one big push. And if you're looking for something, that's the place to go to.
People watch our stuff, a little later, these weekly shoots and stuff. So that'll be 6/24/23.
That's right.
Is the Saturday that's gonna kick off, man. Any other comic stuff that you want to pimp?
No, man, that's my focus this week.
Super cool, dude. I got home and I actually produced one more strip, but I wrote a couple more, lettered them, man. And one of the great things about Heroes Con was touching base with lots of people who were very excited to see what a continuing daily Ed Piscor strip is going to look like. Showed it off to a couple people. Didn't want to give up the ghost too much, but I got one strip done since we came back. Very excited to just get into a routine now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Got to figure out the way to get 7 done. I think it's going to yield a very busy Friday and Saturday. When I'm editing our Kayfabe vids, listen with one ear type thing, do some inking with one hand, stop in between to cut out our uhs and ums, and keep it rocking. So I think I can get some work, but I have to make up for the downtime on a Friday, and that'll take like the bulk of that day. And just this week, I think Saturday's going to be a bitch, man. But I've started to come up with a little bit of a system where I could pretty much get a strip done in a day. It's taken me very much less time to design the pages and things. Like in Procreate, I'll print out the blue line and handle it that way. But lots of cool excitement when it comes to the comics that are coming out. In fact, the comic strip subject matter, if you don't buy any issues of Red Room, you're going to want to grab issue 3 of Red Room Crypto Killers. That's the new run of Red Room that is out there. There's going to be a backup in issue 3 that is the proto version of these characters that I'm using for the strip. And I see that being a hot key, because this is not going to be a comic that I'm going to put down anytime soon. It's going to be the focus of maybe some years. So that's going to be kind of their first appearance, like their sort of prototypical version that's going to be out there. A couple other things. The X-Men Grand Design trade paperback is coming out, where I'm putting together a trade of all 3, the complete X-Men Grand Design. Scoop that up. And last but not least, just because we got the lights trained on us, man, and it's real fun to get that gleam on there. This is the basic case wrap for the Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus. 504 pages. Look at how big that spine is, dude. This black area, it doesn't wrap around. So that'll give you some sense, man. That is the size of a small municipality's phone book.
That's a brick thick.
Yeah. A lot of stuff going on. We got some great videos to shoot today, and the King Kayfabers are going to be privy to our live stream recording sessions. But before all that goes on, man, the title of our video, man, publishers are not your friends. There was some.
Let me add a little to that too, because it is true. This is a business partnership.
Yeah.
And if you go into that with the friend idea, you've already, like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
There is no friendship. It's not a personal thing there. It's totally a business relationship, and it should be approached that way.
Sure. But there's nuance to that, and there's things that could be done. And if, like we met the IDW publisher at Comics Pro, mentioned guys like Nick Cagnetti, and he's like, I want to invest in that dude. You know, that's a guy, like, as a business partner, who's like, I see gold in them hills, and I want to continue to mine that, you know. That said, and I don't know when that dude bought that company or anything like that, but I'm not going to name the name of the retailer because I don't know. I didn't get explicit permission to name the fella. But there are also mensches out there, man, who are super, super good dudes. And this one retailer, you know, we're at Jason Hamlin, Retailer to the Stars booth, checking out what cool undergrounds he has and things. And this retailer is like, Ed, you're going to fucking love me, dude. And I'm like, yeah. Go over to his booth, and I see him, like, digging out cases. And I immediately thought, this dude found some WYSIWYGs. That was the first thing that came to my mind. And he did. And he happened to be at the Diamond warehouses and bought a skid of them, he called it. Might be 1,000 WYSIWYGs that he bought. And he's like, dude, you can buy whatever I have. Give me an extremely good price on the stuff. And what happened was IDW, I guess, switched book distribution, and there's Diamond that has this stock, and was just letting it languish. So all this time we're talking WYSIWYG's out of print, WYSIWYG's out of print. There's 1,000 copies sitting there collecting dust. And I was thinking about like what are these copies? Did I receive royalties on these copies? I actually don't think I did, because there's often like a 10% overprint, and a lot of that time that goes to the distributor because it covers damages and losses and things. Like that's like a customary thing. Certainly with Fantagraphics, 10% overprint. Like we get the order in, print up 10% more, ship it on over there, and so that like when people complain about busted Diamond boxes, Diamond can immediately ship fresh. So these are 1,000 copies. I think that they're overprints. I was checking out my numbers and stuff, and I'm like, everything is kind of checking out here. So there are these 1,000 copies there that some independent person bought. It was never offered to me. It's life-changing money. The street value of that, it's a $20 book. It's 20 grand. You know, that's a lot of money. That could really help a cartoonist out. Who gets to benefit from that? Not the cartoonist. You know, Diamond could have said something. It's not like we're unavailable. You know, people from Australia can reach out to us, and they do fairly often. People from IDW could have said, Ed, you know, you pay the shipping, whatever. Like you could get these things.
Which I believe is Image's policy, by the way.
Exactly. So there are publishers. There's precedent for this. I think Fantagraphics does the same. My shit sells from Fantagraphics. I know some people who don't, and they're able to buy the run of their books. So something that I worked hard on. I worked on 5 years on that book.
Great looking book too. Eisner nominated book.
Yeah, totally.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. And there are 1,000 copies that the cool thing is this retailer was like, Ed, the greatest price ever he gave me. He worked it out. It was very nominal. You want to just buy what I have so that we don't compete here today? Such a nice guy. And he's like come to Baltimore, like I'll bring whatever, like, and whatever you can haul, scoop it up, no problem. And such a good, he did not have to do that. He did not have to do that. He could have kept me completely ignorant and been like, dude, dusted off some WYSIWYGs, man. And I could have been signing WYSIWYGs all day because I sold a bunch, sold about 50, and took home about 50. Got like closet full of them right there, dude. It was disheartening. It made me sad. It really did, because that's life-changing money for a cartoonist. I could have afforded to have had that stuff shipped to me, and maybe a little extra for handling fees or whatever else. But somebody's going to get to make money on that stuff, and I'm going to get zero on that, and that hurts. Now, even if it was books that I got royalty on, it's not much of a royalty, couple G's royalty, and I'm not in it for just that. Like, the book has to do what it's supposed to do, which is go out into the universe, and work begats work. It creates opportunity. Like, so one of those books could fall into somebody's hands, create some opportunity. I think that maybe, you know, they will disappear, and maybe I'll try to work something out with them to try to get those things to move. But the word on the street is they might have been pulped, you know? So, like, I'm not here just taking king's shillings, you know, for a measly royalty rate, especially on something like that, because I had a shit deal with them at Top Shelf. I need the books to be out there and to make some stuff happen, create some juice and things. So if they would have been pulped, even if I would have gotten a royalty, that's not the function. That's not what I wanted. You know, like, worst come to worst, put them shits at Ollie's or something. But they were just an overprint, and what happened was that the publisher just changed contracts with book distribution. So Diamond, the reason why I think that they're overprints is if Diamond already bought them, why would they not sell the things that they bought? You know, like, I think
that is peculiar.
That's why I think they're the overprints. So it was just found money,
right?
And the cartoonist doesn't get to prosper off of it. So in the wake of a lot of discussion online about the sort of inequities when it comes to comics and things, there's another one. There's another one. That's a thing that happens, man. When the big publishers and distribution guys fight like a bunch of bitches, and it trickles down to the cartoonist. The average person, like in the chat room or watching this video, they might even be a little bit ignorant to like how it works. The cartoonist is the last to get paid. You're the one doing all the sweat, all the labor to make the thing. Then you hook up with a publisher. They might give you the most nominal advance, something that could not sustain you for the amount of time that it took you to make the thing. That's almost a given. So they pay to get it printed. Yeah, man, they're putting money down for sure. They're taking risk. And even though this shit is so cheap, you know, they're taking risk. And then you guys order the comics through your store, whatever. The comic shops are putting out loot. Like, the distributors make the first nut. And then for like, what is it, like months, they're taking in money and seeing what's returned and all that stuff. And then they release a couple of dollars to the publisher, who then takes a couple bucks, but they hold on to shit even further until like more returns are in. And then like 6 months later, you get some loot. So you basically, as a cartoonist, if you're going to go with a publisher, you pretty much have to have a spouse that makes loot, be a trust fund kid, or be willing to live in abject poverty for some time until you build a bibliography of successful books, which is sort of what I did, man. Like, I was living shit, certainly through WYSIWYG and all that. And if those books were collecting dust for a while, like, I could have really, really, really used that bump, you know, if I would have had those books, because I was pounding the pavement. I was willing to travel. I could have sold those things, man, and it could have kept me above water a little bit, and I wouldn't have to live in a fucking shoebox and things like this, man. So I'm pretty hot about it. I'm not happy. I'm not when I was talking about it with the people who bought the shit, they were like, you know what IDW means? I don't work. Like, that's what they say, man. Like,
wow.
IDW means I don't work. So I would like to have all the rights back to WYSIWYG. I'm not happy with the situation. Probably going to talk to the lawyer to figure out how to make all that shit happen so that we can make the book available to the people that want it. But that was the one negative. And it wasn't even that much of a negative. It's just like, I thought I seen it all. But I hit something. I saw something that really, really struck me close, because when that was the book that I had out, I wasn't doing fine. I wasn't doing well. And it hurts that there was a bunch of shit just like languishing, and to the point where it was like ultimatums were said amongst these administrative people, between publisher, distributor, all that like, get this shit out of here or else we're gonna pulp it. And then somebody came in and like rescued them.
Makes me wonder, like, how many other cartoonists have books in that position.
Me too.
And have no idea.
Exactly.
Because you're right. Like I do self-publishing a lot, because I think you've said it before. If you're selling less than 10,000, you're further ahead to do it yourself. And that's part of how I make the ends meet.
Yeah.
And I can't think of too many cartoonists who would not benefit from that. A case of books, several cases of books.
Yeah.
Like, that is real capital for the cartoonist. In a lot of cases, that's worth a lot more to the cartoonist than it is to that distributor who's sold a bunch already, or to the publisher who's kind of moved on. You know, they've sold their print run. If these are the overprints or whatever, they're past that. They've been past it for years. The cartoonist can sell this stuff. It's evergreen.
Right.
So, man, you know, I'll say this to Diamond. If you guys are sitting on a bunch of books that are ready to be pulped, give the cartoonist, try to contact the cartoonist and see. Because as you say, like, in some cases, this could really make a significant difference to people.
In most cases. I saw, like, this guy bought the top shelf stock, basically, from Diamond. Like, I saw the setup. And I saw people whose names I recognized in there. So presumably their print runs and overprints were also purchased by them, man. So it's another one of those dark things where, once again, I thought I saw it all. But these administrative people, you know, like the retailers, the makers of comics, like, everybody's lucky that everybody still wants to do the shit. Because these bean counters and so much of the administrative people, I have a very good working relationship with Fantagraphics. Don't have no complaints right now. But I don't know what I don't know also, you know? But that was just another kind of kick in the nuts. And I was thinking, I was thinking about like even at that time with WYSIWYG and that era, I had maybe 5 deals total, stuff with Harvey Picar and other little things, and got burnt in some form or fashion on everything. So it's really stubbornness that kept me in the game just because I like comics so much. And it just happened that some stuff worked out with the hip hop book and things like this, man. With things like Cartoonist Kayfabe. It just worked out. We came up with like a little scenario where we keep our works in front of people, keep people reminded about what we have. But even at the time when all this stuff was going down for me, making a real shit deal with Top Shelf, having to get the contracts like fixed because I worked out a better deal, but like the one publisher, man, Brett Warnock was dope, but the one dude was like saying that I'm like I remind him of like Vince Gallo in Buffalo 66, and I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I go watch that flick, and I'm like, oh, you think I'm fucked up? You think I'm touched in the head? Okay, so I just started like looking at my contract closer when the royalties would come in, and I'm like, okay, I see what happened here, man. Like we worked out a deal where I should get like 10%, and you've been giving me 8. Let me get that other money, man. I see you're going to Graceland and shit, so you got loot. Like, let me get some extra loot. So there's a reason why it's out of print. I need to get those rights back. I need to figure that out. This is sort of the icing on the cake with that whole shit, because I'm hot about it, dude. Like once again, I just when that book was out, when that stuff was going down, I was not doing well. It was an animation job that kind of gave me my first juice to just be able to like live more consistently and healthy and things. So just a little bit of a bummer, but the rest of the weekend fantastic. So happy to meet all you guys. So happy to see everybody.
Yeah, you know what? That was something I remember us talking about on the ride home. An eventful, always a memorable ride home, Ed.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we were talking about is the people that we met in terms of all of you, the Cartoonist Kayfabers that came up to us. Mm-hmm. And man, we say it all the time, unanticipated, happy accidents, whatever you want to call it. But I heard from so many people who came up and they're like, hey, thanks for introducing me to the work of Dan Clowes. Thanks for introducing me to Love and Rockets. Thanks for telling me about this book or that book. Of course that's what this channel is.
Yeah.
And I don't think about it all the time because we're on the other side of the table, so to speak. But man, it's the greatest thing ever whenever some book I love finds a few new readers because we talked about it. And man, I heard it all weekend, every single day. So that was awesome. And kind of an unexpected highlight for me was just hearing people come up and talk about some new favorite book that they found on our channel.
Well, how about disparate groups of King Kayfabers meeting for the first time in Charlotte, North Carolina? We had the West Coast wing. We had a Midwest wing converging on Charlotte, North Carolina, meeting each other for the first time. People in this very chat room were showing up, man, and met each other for the first time. People in the King Kayfaber joint meeting each other for the first time. Met a lot of King Kayfabers there.
Yes.
I'd say probably 24.
Yeah.
It might have been 24, and I stopped counting at about 500 Kayfabe shirts. But one guy was real smart, and I encourage everybody to do this. It's Baltimore Con. It's going to be our next show. He's like, yeah, I got my Kayfabe shirt today, but I got a Kayfabe hat that I could wear for 3 days.
That's good.
And that's the move, man. Like, fly the flag, because you're going to find it's like Project Mayhem. We protect you while you're sleeping. Like, we know who we are. We don't have to speak on Rule 1 and 2, But, like, you fly the flag, you see a family member, basically. And that's valuable when you're far away from home or doing some travel, to see some like-minded persons, like built-in friends. And these guys are going off, setting up events in restaurants. Like, we got some go-getters in the audience, man. And they set up some stuff in restaurants and like had like little group shows and things. That was pretty fucking sick, man. Some of the people that we evangelized on certain books, they are like, there's one person in particular that they became like, like those like recent non-smokers who fucking will tell you that smoking is bad.
Yes.
Or like a born-again Christian, decked out to the nines in Jaime gear, from the dress to the shirt and all of that, man. Is like, yeah, I just discovered Love and Rockets from you guys, and I'm like, holy shit, well, you're wearing a full uniform.
Yeah, it doesn't take them long to get on board. But you know what, man, about the t-shirts, saw a couple of people, makers, who were set up at their table wearing the t-shirts.
Yeah.
And as you say, like for sending out that signal, it's a good move. If you're going to do a show, you're a new guy, put on that Kayfabe t-shirt behind your table and send out the signal, man. Get a second look on that, on the book that you're pushing.
Actual Dracula flew in from Canada to hit up Heroes Con, and we speak about the retailers as being one of the good guys in comics by and large. Shouts to Cal Johnston, man. Strange Adventures, Nova Scotia came through. We had a great dinner with him that first night, that sort of night where you kind of dump all your stuff. He and Steve McNiven were there, so we got it in mind, like, oh, these dudes, this is their first time, Canadian fellas, like they don't know the lay of the land, and Charlotte at this point is like just another part of town for us. So it's like, let's go get some dinner. It was fun debriefing with those guys, because the last we saw Cal, it was our last big travel pre-pandemic. Like we went up to Nova Scotia, did a great signing. He got us some 3-pound lobsters. We dug through 2 of his stores, came away with some great books. I was able to like put a little dent into the rest of my Cerebus trade paperback collection. I was able to get that Harlan Ellison TCJ interview that I swear me and Jimmy have to do as like maybe a 2-part episode, because it might be a 70-page interview, but it's a legendary interview where gauntlets are thrown down. Gary Groth is talking about the pinnacle of comic book artwork, which at the time would have been peak Craig Russell, to kind of root it into a period of time. But
which, by the way, I got a stack of this weekend from Friday. A Kayfaber shows up and he's talking to me about the story, and I'm like, honestly, that's a blind spot. I'm aware of it, but I don't have it. Saturday shows up with most of the run. Sunday showed up with the rest of the issues. It's the Killraven, the P. Craig Russell Killraven stuff, the War of the Worlds.
Yeah,
it looks beautiful. We thumbed through a couple of those issues just very quickly, and that was awesome. I'll tell you what I saw this weekend, Ed. You were standing right next to me. Thursday, we're unpacking our boxes, throwing some boxes behind a table. Our man shows up from Michigan, with 3 portfolios of Caliber art.
Yes, sir. It's like it's mostly Caliber art, but then it would be like, it's black and white boom art, because it would be like tales of animism and
that's
shit.
Right.
Is that even that's not Caliber?
No, I don't know who that is, but man, a James O'Barr page in there, Mark Bloodworth cover paintings that were beautiful, and the very first page, dude, Dead World #1 Vince Locke. That's a life-changing book for me.
Yeah.
I had that moment. Those moments when you see that special Holy Grail kind of Holy Grail, holy shit kind of moment.
Yes.
I never expected to see something like that in the flesh. Blown away. Just amazing. And that's what that show is. Like it's one treasure after another.
Yeah, that's one of those things, man, where we, after that, because essentially Jimmy and I did an episode for the people surrounding us, and it was not recorded. So we need to actually figure that part out. That was a takeaway that I had from the show, because there's no reason we shouldn't have recorded that.
That's true.
And made an episode of it, because it's not like we're going to get our hands on that anytime soon. It was 3 giant portfolio books plus like an even bigger one of like paintings and things, and it was all kinds of hardcore stuff, man. Super brutal. You're thankful that these are comics that are in the quarter bin by and large, so you don't even think that there's a guy out there who would even care to archive this kind of shit or whatever, but this dude was just there at that time and place, and whenever these guys were getting rid of pages or needed a couple of dollars for rent money or something, this dude was scraping whatever pennies and scraps he had to hook them up, man, and has just been a great archivist for that material.
Yeah, at some point we're gonna have to get some of that on camera, and he's a Kayfaber. We talked to him and stuff behind the scenes, so we'll get there at some point for everybody watching at home. But yeah, talk about grateful. Like these are heroes in this game.
Totally, and it's like I think he's a maker. Also, he is a maker also, but
Dead Walkers.
Lots of stuff. Yeah, lots of stuff. And inked a bunch of shit. Like, we got Xeroxes. That should be an episode, man. We got Xeroxes of Kelly Jones pencils. Like, a couple dozen, 50 pages that this dude inked. So that was an episode that we shot that has, like, fell into the ether because it was no longer recorded. But there's even another one. And that was Evan Husney We did a shoot interview with him. He runs the Power Comics channel, Instagram, YouTube, and a publishing imprint through Floating World. And he is the executive producer, Dark Side of the Ring, Tales from the Territories, which I've been catching up on, and several other kinds of shows and things in the works. When we physically met him for the first time at Heroes Con last year, he was he was a Marvel Silver Age dabbling in EC comics, and then he went full EC, and then he like takes those EC comics and then divests himself of those. So now he's in the timely fucking golden age era, Alex Schomburg, war covers and things. So he's pulling out these exceptional Alex Schomburg timely comics, and we did an episode at the fucking dinner table, just like looking through all this stuff, doing what we do. See, that's the thing. The channel is just what we do. It's just what we do. It's just what we've done for 20 years. And we did it there, and it's like, you know, we just did another episode. Like, so we need to figure out some kind of rig that is independent of the surface that we'll be looking on, so that you don't get the wobble of the camera every time you flip a page or something. Some kind of stand that does a 90 degree. The 90 degree has to go out kind of far.
Yeah, we need a crane. We're going to need a crane shot.
The lighting is reasonably portable. You know, it really breaks down and has a very small footprint. It wouldn't take up that much space in our cars and stuff. So, like, I don't think that's ever going to be an issue. Probably sound will be an issue, but you just deal with that. Like, when we went with Brian Moss into his space, we didn't know that it was going to have, like, a weird echo. We didn't hear an echo, but somehow the microphone picks up some kind of echo. But when you and I are together, inevitably there's a conversation that's going to happen that really should be on the channel, and we just have to figure that part out. So if there's any kind of AV guys in the audience, like, send us emails about like what would be good for that, because we participate in conversations that you guys would have fucking loved, man. You would love to have seen this stuff. It's one of a kind material. We're not going to be happening upon timely golden age comics from 1939 anytime soon.
No, and you know, one of the things that'll be coming up as we go through some of the videos today, some of the stuff we're recording is going to be relevant to this, is what's a good collection of like Alex Schomburg covers? Why doesn't a high quality collection of those, does it exist? Maybe I'm overlooking it. Right. But man, I want a collection of some of that material, and I don't know why it's Lou Fine, you know, like the Lou Fine reprints I have from my childhood, the quality is so poor. Yeah. You know, like, why isn't there a great high quality Lou Fine book? And there might be, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. Like let's put a spotlight on that, because like, man, that golden age stuff is kind of a revelation to me. It's stuff that was, talk about never being in my price range. Oh yeah. You know what I mean? So being able to look at those things up close was a treat. Yeah. But I'd like to see more of it. You know, there have been some great golden age cover books out there. The LB Cole book that Fantagraphics put out, we looked at, there's a video on that. I want to know more of this stuff though. That stuff seems rich. And not just in price, but, you know, the quality is exceptional. Yeah. And these guys, a lot of them, they just transitioned through comics. Schomburg and Lou Fine, both of them, you know, golden age artists, moved on. Like, they were great advertising and commercial artists. And when comics dipped, they followed the money. And I can't blame them for that, but I would like better. I would like a good record of that on my shelf. It's
Milk and Nif is not impossible to find. Are you kidding me? I got tons of Milk and Nif.
He's in the box today. Yeah. A really good one too, man. There's gonna be a big recommendation of a Milk and Nif book, art book today.
Yeah. The Golden Age comics. So you know, they're slabbed. You know, Evan brought them. They're slabbed. He's not gonna take them out of the slab or anything.
I think we could peer pressure him. We need to get him in the studio.
Maybe get a little.
Have some tequila, screwdriver, and some tools sitting there.
Have a screwdriver and a screwdriver.
That's right.
But those comics, let's be honest, if it didn't have Kirby in it, they're pretty much selling it based on the cover. So like, that's what you have with a slab thing, and at that level, it's almost enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost enough. Like, the gravitas of those old covers, like, it's fine, because you know, when you crack it open, it's just disappointment, page after page after page as you're flipping. So, like, to not know and to just have that cover. And I was thinking like, oh yeah, that's an era when comics were sold by the covers, and I'm like, nah, it's still the case. It's still the case. In fact, they figured out how to gimmick it even further, with like the ratios and all of that kind of stuff. So the game is kind of it's always been the same.
It is funny when you think about that. 70 years, we're still using the same sales practices.
For sure, man. Dude, there is so much to talk about. We could carry it over into next week's weekly.
Yeah, man. We invite you all to join the King Kayfabe level on our Patreon to continue these conversations, because a lot of this is what we talk about as we're recording, and in between recording videos, we have that live feed. So if you enjoy these conversations and you want to participate, that's the best way to be right in the front row seats.
It's true. Like, I'm going to pin it to the chat right now so that you could get your hands on that.
It is one of the fun. It's another one of those fun, unanticipated developments. And you talk about the King Kayfabers coming up at Heroes Con.
Yeah,
I mean, it's insider talk at that point. Like, they've been there for these conversations behind the scenes, and very rewarding.
That's the truth, man. Like, when they came up, they would say their name, King Kayfaber, and I'm like, I know. Just in the same way that, like, they come up and be like, hey, my name's Scott, and I'm like, Ed, just like you do, and they're like, I know. but like what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, right.
You know what I
Totally.
mean? But that's how I was with them, because I'm like, oh, George Vega, what's up, homie? I see you in there all the time. Like, he dropped a lot of good science to us while we're doing our thing, man.
One last thing before we wrap is I'm still looking for Wizards 60 to 68.
Yeah,
and we are getting close to that number, so it could be it could stall us a bit if I can't put my hands on those issues. So if you guys have any that you want to donate to the cause, the PO box is below this video.
Yeah, we should have said that at the top of the show. We'll say that the following couple of weeks and see what comes in, man, because like these mags are too big to read like on a Thursday for next Thursday. It's like we read these things basically the night before, do our notes the night before, so that everything is fresh, which means that you have to have a copy. I have to have a copy, because like we're 40, we're in our 40s now, man. It stuff can go in and go out kind of easy at this point. So if the Wizards if you want there to be Wizard Eps, we need to have those copies. That's a crazy thing too, dude, because like before we started the channel and I got on my Wizard kick, I could just go on mycomicshop.com and for $1, like these things were not moving at all, and put together everything I needed. Like, everything I got is for $1. Like, I went to Ides and put together like a sizable chunk. What happened was I was just digging, and the very first issue of Wizard I came across was my very first issue. So I haven't seen it in a long time. I tossed it when I was through moves. Maybe I was 19 when I tossed it out. And when I looked through it, I almost sat there and just started reading it. Like, I was getting drunk on every page, just like,
it's crazy.
My head was sizzling.
Hard nostalgia on those.
And I'm like, well, fuck it. Like I'm just going to get these. Punker Mike sent a copy of issue 1, which was a hard, you can't find that for cheap at all. So dude hooked it up completely. I got 2 copies, so I was able to slide you one. And then mycomicshop.com took care of the rest, and it was like maybe $1.60 was the most I spent on any of those issues. They are gone. They are dry. There is no issues of Wizard up there. I have to think that we have a little something to do with that.
Yeah, so if you guys want to see more, we're going to need some help.
All right, man. We're in a talkative state. What happens if you are new to the weekly, to the channel? We are going to break down the cameras. We're going to set up in another part of the studio, the part where we have the camera facing down, recording our episodes. Jimmy and I are going to be recording 7 episodes today. Give us 15, 20 minutes. Go get a fresh cup of coffee. It's early right now as of this live stream. And we're going to set up in the other room and just start recording those videos. We blaze up the chat room to keep in contact with you guys. Thank you so much for helping us whenever me and Jimmy have a gap. That's been a great value, dude. Like, it's the third brain.
Absolutely.
Whenever there's a gap in something that we're talking about, the answer shows up. We have enough people in the King Kayfabe community who have the answers, and we just keep things rocking that way, man. What will also happen is they're going to be delivered the videos throughout the day in edited form before anybody else, and that's how you mitigate the kayfabe effect, because before these things go pop to the regular audience, they're going to be able to take a good look and make wise purchasing decisions, man.
We've got a few today that'll be you'll want to be on the front end of the kayfabe effect on.
I talked to the store owner that published the one thing, and it was just like, if you got some stuff sitting on top of these boxes, like in your back, like you just might want to put them to the top, because we know there's a book we're going to be talking about that I think I know how to sell real easy. We were talking about it. The story behind it is fascinating, and everybody's going to want a copy. I will not be surprised if we sell it out.
Yeah, it's a low print run too.
Once the video goes live, I will not be surprised if Jason from Floating World hits me up. And
that's a big tip.
Yeah. It's like, all right, dude, it's out.
Nice. And just one more thanks to Shelton, Carla, Seth, everybody that works Heroes Con, and everybody that came out to Heroes Con, because it really is like, I love that show, man.
Yeah.
I come home and we talk about charging the battery. Man, I come home from that show just so energized every year, and this year's no different. So thanks everybody that makes that show awesome.
All right, man. I think we said our thanks, we given our congratulations, and we talked that talk. Jimmy, give him those marching orders, and we'll be